Right. Good evening, listeners, and welcome to Love 101 FM. And welcome to all our listeners also on the Love 101 FM YouTube page. You are live. This is Family Time, and I'm your host, Crystal Daly Thompson. Now, Family Time is about your issues, your relationships. It's about your at home family, your community family, and your global family. Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and our aim is to enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. So stay with us and please connect with us via all our platforms. That's, of course, Facebook. Friend us on Facebook. That's simply FLM Family Life Ministries. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Family Life Ministries FLMJA. And on Instagram, keep up with what's happening at simply FLMJA. And of course, we want you to always keep abreast of what's happening with Family Time. While Family Time is a family program, we'd like to caution that it may, on odd occasions, touch on topics that some would consider to be very mature subject matters. So your discretion is advised. Many couples are focused on celebrating their love and milestones together. But love, much like money, is very complicated and when combined can be a source of compatibility or crisis. Such is a possible crisis. It, it's such a crisis that it can even have a negative impact on intimacy, and no couple or family really wants that. As young couples and heads of your young families, newlyweds, how do you plan your finances? What rules, tips, and tricks do you use? From budgeting basics to big financial decisions, what good and bad habits do you already have? We want to talk about that today. So, if you're a young couple and may even have a family, it's good that you're tuned into today's program as we look at the topic financial planning as a couple. Let's talk about setting goals and the scary phase, joint budgets, right? Debt management, communication. Yes, communication and creating generational wealth. Now, these are some things that make some of us uncomfortable, but we're going to talk about them today. While we do that, we want to hear from you, our listeners. Here is your feedback question today. As a couple or a family, what's your biggest financial challenge? Send your answers via WhatsApp text and WhatsApp voice notes to 876-997-3125. Try to keep those voice notes no longer than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328 to participate. You can even watch us and comment live on Love 101 FM Facebook and Love 101 FM YouTube. That's our YouTube and our Facebook channels. We'll be right back with our special guest, Casey Grant Clark, when we talk about financial planning as a couple. We'll be right back.
On the next Campus Connection, we will turn things up with Love for the Creative Arts Part 2. Many persons have a deep passion and appreciation for artistic expressions in various forms like painting, music, writing, dance, or theater. Should more young people be encouraged to pursue careers in the creative arts industry? You're invited to join the conversation with our guests, singer Miss Ruth Ann Palmer, mixed media artist Mrs. Victoria Neal, event speaker and host Miss Kadian Barclay, aka Journey, and music minister Mr. David Sutton. Campus Connection is brought to you by Heart NSTA Trust. Skill is power. That's Campus Connection, Tuesday, February 25 at 5:30 p.m. Only on the family station, Love 101, celebrating 32 years of sharing hope, touching hearts.
Yes, listeners, welcome back to Family Time on Love 101. And welcome to our very special guest, Casey Grant Clark. She is the founder and CEO of Money Smart Consultants, With 20 years of experience, she has guided hundreds of individuals and organizations on their financial journeys to achieve confidence and success, and looks forward to providing coaching to support individuals to achieve their goals. Welcome, and how are you, Kesia?
Doing great, Crystal. It's such a joy to be here with you, with your listeners and viewers. And
Excellent.
that I love that intro. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Well, for big up our producer Kathy Gale, who gave us those details about you. But we're so
Absolutely.
excited. Yes, we're so excited to have you this afternoon. Now,
Thank
we want
you.
to tell our listeners this very important thing. We want to hear your feedback, listeners. Come on. As a couple or a family, what's your biggest financial challenge? WhatsApp, text, and voice notes to 876-997-3125. Try to keep those voice notes no less than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. Watch us and comment live on Love 101 FM Facebook and Love 101 FM YouTube. So we're going to get straight into it. Take your note taking tools, of course, whatever it is that you use to take notes, because we're talking about financial planning as a couple. So we have Casey, and she is a specialist over 20 years guiding people along the path. So we want to just unpack this just a little bit more. We want to talk about setting financial goals, practicing good stewardship. What does that look like? Is there a scriptural reference? The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. That's a scriptural reference I'm pulling on from Proverbs 21, verse 5. But talk to us a little bit more about making diligent plans, Casey.
So I'm happy, Crystal, that you started with that scripture because we have to really look at the importance of financial stewardship. And it is more than just managing money, it's being diligent and honoring God with the gifts. With whatever resources he has blessed us with, and I'll
Yes.
just share with you, Crystal, and your listeners and viewers, that based on research, one of the top stressors that individuals face is with their finances. So whether it's struggling with debt, overspending, poor budgeting, or a lack of investment know-how, persons tend to develop different sometimes health issues, anxiety, depression, and this sometimes even lead to marital breakups.
Mm,
So we understand that it's a big topic for marriages, not just for persons who are just embarking on the marital journey, but
yes.
persons who are already along the journey. We understand that there are several persons who are not aware as to how to create a financial plan. And as you rightfully said, God has a say on that as well in terms of the scripture that you just shared with us.
Yes.
We understand that we must put our finances in order. And it's even more crucial in a marriage where we understand that two persons are coming together with different beliefs, different, different fundamental thought process that they hold dear, coming from childhood in some instances. So it's important when you begin this journey, and sometimes even before you begin the journey, just as you would seek counseling support, it's important to get financial support, financial coaching to set you
Indeed.
on the right footing for this journey.
Awesome. So you mentioned that it's a big topic for marriage, Casey, and we know that in a marriage, the two becomes one. And of
Absolutely.
course, while two become one, you would want to have some goals set for the union and some
Hmm.
individual goals. Um,
Absolutely.
how do you identify shared goals? How do you plan around, having shared goals? You know,
Hmm.
as a couple comes together, they would want to be purchasing a home, or
Hmm.
they want to embark on continued studies or various projects.
Right.
How would you guide a couple to put these things into perspective?
Right, and that's a good question, Crystal, because one of the first things that we encourage couples to do is to look at what does financial success look like to you. We understand that it differs from person to person. What does it look like to you? And when from you have actually looked at that in terms of what you're working towards, we say to persons, no, what are the goals that you want to achieve? And you have alluded to some of those goals, Crystal. It could be that you're looking to purchase a house. You're planning for your children's education. It could be that you are, beginning to plan for retirement, which we know is a goal that you should start planning for right at the first paycheck that you get. So
Yeah.
those are goals that you start by identifying the goals that you want to achieve, and then you make strategic plans around those goals. So how am I going to achieve them? What do I need to put in place? Does it mean I need to cut back on something?
Yes.
Does it
Yes.
mean that, okay, so I want to achieve this goal? What is the timeline that I'm working with? Is it something that I want to achieve in a year, which it would be considered a short-term goal?
Mhm.
2 to 5 years, medium term, five,
Yes.
10 years and beyond, long term. So those are things that must be looked at and must be reviewed as a couple, you
As you
know?
talk about strategy and reviewing, how does one prioritize? Because everything can be so important at once. I need a house, I need a car, I need to do this, I need to go back to school. Everything is so important.
Mm-hmm.
How do you prioritize? Or do you help somebody to say, let me recommend that you do this because it would be beneficial to do this in the medium to short term, and
Mm-hmm.
the long term goal is better considering your present circumstance. Just give us a
Mm-hmm.
vivid picture of how to help couples to prioritize when there are so many competing factors and everything important at one time.
And you're absolutely correct. So the first thing is to look at what's important to you. Because again, as we say, goals are different from person to person. Now,
Yes.
once you have fleshed out those goals, and in some instances, persons are not sure what they want to accomplish. So you have to provide guidance in terms of the timelines. And there, for example, someone may say to me, Casey, I want to purchase a house in a year. Because as we talk about goals, we talk about SMART goals, goals that
Yes.
are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So it's
Yes.
not just about saying I want to do this without a time frame, etc.
All right. I
So
wanted to define SMART goals again. What are SMART goals? You said
goals
specific.
that are specific,
Yes.
measurable,
Measurable,
attainable,
attainable,
relevant, and time
relevant,
bound.
and time bound. So,
Because
listeners, this is how you make your goals. They have to be smart, specific, measurable, attainable. That means it's realistic,
mhm,
right? And that it is relevant, you said, and
right,
time bound.
yes,
Yes.
because a goal without timelines, without a plan is just a wish. I
Mhm.
want to do this, but there's no timeline attached to it. There are no steps as to how you're going to achieve that goal. That's not really a goal, eh? So
Yes.
we understand that, as I said, persons are different at different places on the journey. So there are persons who would have made their goals, and you may say, okay, so you want to purchase a house in a year, but realistically, where you are right now, it would
Yes.
mean you have to, it's advisable that you push the goal back a bit so you can
Yes.
actually accumulate the necessary funds, so you're not pushing yourself into debt that you don't necessarily need to take on now.
Right, right,
Whilst
right. I
another
want you, I want
person.
I want you to hold that point for me though, Casey, because we're gonna go
Mhm.
to a quick break. Because
Sure.
when we come back, we want to really just unpack how we do all of this, because this is very important. This is the crux of the matter, I believe.
Mhm, mhm.
Where people would need to just be able to organize themselves in achieving their goals. So, listeners, remember, we want to hear from you. WhatsApp voice notes. Ensure that your voice notes are no more rather than 30 seconds. Do so at 876-968-8327 or 876-968-8328. We're discussing, as a couple or a family, what's your biggest financial challenge? This is Family Time. We're going to a break. We'll be right back.
Will that be cash or card?
Card.
You have a supermarket card from Flow too?
Yes. It's just like Flo paying for my groceries.
Sign up for Yard and Road for only $6,300 plus GCT, and you too can get a $10,000 supermarket card. Get Yard and Road, the plan that pays you back. Conditions apply.
Yes, it's tax time. March 17 is the due date for your income tax returns. Self-employed individuals are required to file their annual returns SO4 and estimated return SO4A with income tax, education tax, NHT, and NIS due and payable on one return. Companies are required to file the ITO2, which is the annual return, and the estimated return ITO7. Visit jamaicatax.gov.jm or call 888-TAX-HELP for details. Tax Administration Jamaica, working together to serve you even better.
What does Christian parenting entail? What's it like to raise godly children in an ungodly world? Is sparing the rod and spoiling the child still a thing? How about the warning not to provoke your children? Oh, you didn't know that one. What else does the Bible say about harmful parenting habits and healthy practices? Join us for this discussion on The Rock this Tuesday, February 25, when host Bishop Harold Steve Blair and guests Prophet Reverend Mark Stewart and Pastor Marsha Wade talk about godly parenting. That's The Rock. We're talking godly parenting, finding and being the balance. The Rock, Tuesday, February 25 at 10 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Yes, listeners, welcome back to Family Time. The time is now 5:49. We've been discussing financial planning as a couple. And of course, we have our guest with us. And of course, she has over 20 years experience. That's Mrs. Casey Grant Clark. And she's helping us to unpack this. It's not exactly romantic to sit down and make a big budget together, but it's necessary. It is important. But it's been said that couples that do budgets together, they stay together. We heard earlier when we opened the show that financial issues can affect a marriage. So besides using PG rated lovely lovey-dovey phrases while you work out your budgets and all of these things, right? Managing a budget is very critical, and managing debt. And we just want to talk about that to help some of us to save our marriages and save our relationships and also even our families. So before we went to the break, Casey, we were talking about setting smart goals and prioritizing and doing a number of things to ensure that we don't overwhelm ourselves with everything that we desire to do, but just have a strategic approach. You continue with that.
Right. I was saying, as it relates to debt, in fact, you want to ensure that you are planning in terms of the different goals, and that actually takes into consideration debt as well. I don't want to run ahead of myself though, because you actually just mentioned budgeting as a couple, and well, definitely the importance of that. It may not be very romantic, but it is so necessary as a couple, because
Yes.
what many couples find, in fact, as a coach, I sit with couples, and quite often at the onset there may be tension, around the money, but after doing a few sessions, you realize just how different things are, because the money is such a big deal, as we established from earlier on in the conversation. So
Yes.
once couples start putting things in place, putting that solid foundation in place that they can build on, you realize that the air lightens up, and there's intimacy, and because there's now this vulnerability, and there's this level of togetherness, teamwork, right? It's not my money versus your money, it's our money. So as we talk about the tips for budgeting as it relates to creating a joint budget, we know some persons may not like the idea of that, but if you are married or intending to get married, it has been proven that it's a way to build your relationship, because money is one of the biggest cause for relational issues. So we
Yes.
advise persons to look at the 50-30-20 budgetary method. So here you are actually um, pooling your funds together and you're
Yes.
recording all your income. So income from your 9 to 5, income from side hustles, overtime, whatever it is, and you're putting those income together, and you're also now recording the expenses that you face as a couple.
Right.
So
Yeah.
again, it fosters openness, accountability, you
Yes.
know, because quite often there's, as I said earlier, tension around money.
Yes.
So for this budgetary plan, we say, okay, 50% of your income should go towards paying down expenses such as your mortgage, your food food bill and utility bills. Those should be covered by approximately 50% of your income.
Okay.
30% of your income should
Yes.
go towards the discretionary expenses, so like the subscriptions, right?
Mhm.
The Netflix, the vacation, all the things that are nice to have that you don't necessarily need all of it. And I'm not saying that person should cut out all the nice things out of their budget. Absolutely not. This coach, I actually advise persons to have something in your budget that brings you joy, because you're more likely to stay true to your budget when you don't
Yes.
feel as if you're deprived.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Also,
That's so wise. That's so wise. Very important. Is it?
yes.
The scripture tells us that all our labor is for our mouths.
Mhm.
Yes. So we
Right?
must be able
So
to enjoy something.
something, right? But the thing about it, what's crucial is that you're not enjoying all the bread and the seed. No, the seed is for later. You're supposed to plant the seed so they can grow later, and that seed would refer to the 20%. The other 20% we should go towards your savings and investments.
Okay. So where does tithing come in here?
Good question. In fact, I was about to get onto that, because in that budget, and I'm speaking to, well, not just Christians, but we understand that tithing is so important. So 10% of your income should go to tithing, and I'm not trying to bamboozle anyone, but it's important to me.
So so
Also,
where so where does this fall within the 50, 30, 20? Do we try to fit that 10% in the 50?
so you can fit it into the, because it is like, how do we say it? It's one of the top priorities, if
Yes.
not the top priority. It is the top priority, right?
Yes,
And
yes.
so we fit it in there. The 20% is, as I said, savings and investments, and that is what we consider to pay yourself first,
Okay.
right?
Okay. I see what you're saying. But Casey, are there any budgeting tools? Say, for example, I'm out there, I don't know my head from my foot. Um, we just get married, we don't know what we're doing. My wife make $10, me
Mhm.
make me make 20, and I have some debt. I have
Right.
these things. What kind of tools are out there? Just like you have apps on your phone, or what is out there now that I can download and plug in my money
Mhm.
in reality, what I really make, what is going on with it, to help me to manage my money on a
So
monthly basis as a couple.
that's a good question, because we know your budget is one of the best tools, financial tools. So with that said, you can start where you are. You can start first and foremost on a little piece of paper, as simple as that. But it can become more technical. So um, an Excel sheet, for example. Some persons don't like the Excel sheet so much. There are also Google Sheets that you can download. There are
Yeah.
also apps, free apps such as Mint and others that you can go online and just put in free budget and download. The thing with some of those is that the free ones tend to not have some of the functionalities as the ones that you pay a fee for, or a
Yeah.
small cost for, but there are many different options. So if you are someone who's not very techy, you can start by recording everything on a piece of paper, and you move up as you become more comfortable with the budget. You move to a Google Sheet, for example. You can get an annual sheet in on Google to use
Okay.
as a budget. And like I said, there are also templates in Excel that you can use outside of downloading an app as well, a free app. So there are many options for, all different individuals.
Okay. All right. So we want to talk about just how do we work out our debts together. We want to know how we work out our debts together. So one of the things I'll say, before you respond to that, is that I think couples what need to know that they need to be very transparent with each other, very
Mhm.
transparent, because I think sometimes couples may be ashamed that they have a credit card debt or several
Mhm.
debts in the back, and they're a
Right.
little bit afraid to talk about that. So I just think vulnerability and transparency is critical
Absolutely.
with the debt aspect. But I want to hear from you.
Right. Absolutely. I agree with you, because if you are going to have the success that you desire, you must be willing to work together as a team. No, you're married, you are tackling life together. So, it's not, as I said earlier, not one person against the other, but you are no, have the benefits of a teammate, right? So when we talk about debt, we understand that one of the crucial things, or where you can begin, or you should begin for that matter, is to list all the debt that you have outstanding. So you have this discussion with your partner, and you are open with your partner. You list all the debt that you have, and then you look at a repayment strategy. And a repayment strategy could be that you attack the debt that is smallest first. So while, let's say you have three different debt that you are struggling with, you aim to pay the minimum payment for all three first, and then you look at the smallest one, and whatever extra you have, direct it to that particular one. And the aim with that method, the snowball method, is that you are clearing the smallest one, so you gain momentum. So now you're freeing up whatever monthly payment that you would normally put to that small loan. You're freeing up that amount to put to the next in line. And you continue like that until you have cleared all your debt. That's one method. Another is the avalanche method, where now you're looking at the debt that has the highest interest rate, the one that is costing you the most to
Yes.
keep. And you focus your attention on clearing that one in the quickest possible time. So when you get extra funds, let us say it's overtime work,
Yes.
you put the extra on that. You develop another side hustle, you put the
Yes.
extra on that, because you're looking to clear
So,
that in the quickest
yes.
possible time and continue with that.
So
With that,
it's all about strategy. It's all about
absolutely,
strategy.
absolutely. You have to be intentional with whatever you do to gain results.
Awesome. All right. So right now, listeners, we're going to word to flesh moments with Reverend Mike.
Many couples struggle to keep their marriage together because of negative financial issues. For sometimes marriage is not a twinning of financial powers, but a pairing of financial debt. This is worsened when one of the partners uses the union to end their debt by making financial demands on the other, while continuing a lifestyle that creates more debt. Such a marriage may only end in bankruptcy for one or the other, and possibly divorce for both. The Bible offers two principles to help such a couple. Principle number 1, attend to financial planning. Luke 25 declares, "For which of you, desiring to build a tower, does not first sit down and count the cost?" Proverbs 21 says, "The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance." Principle number 2, working together is better than working alone. Ecclesiastes 4 says, two are better than one because they have a good reward for their toil. While there is no one who would debate the correctness of these principles, ego, pride, and shame sometimes prevents them from being applied to marriage. For while it is clear that the Bible's ideal for marriage is that the two become one, sometimes couples resist the oneness because of their cultural socialization to operate as lone rangers. Somebody today needs to reject their incorrect socialization and embrace correct Bible principles for living. Repent today before your marriage oneness is irreparably shattered. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
Yes, listeners, wise words there from Reverend Mike. Word to Flesh Moments. The time is now 6:01. You've been listening to Family Time right here on Love 101. We're going to a break. We'll be right back.
We've seen a lot of our customers make some good moves over the years. Whether it's sharing a hug with a friend you haven't seen in a long time or sharing a meal, Grace has been there. So let's keep making these moments together, because rest assured, every time you choose Grace, you know you're making a good move. Oh, it's a good move when you're moving with Grace. To Caribbean Airlines.
Caribbean Airlines is giving away prizes you love. Strike up your vibes and your vocals to get ready to call in and sing the Caribbean Airlines jingle for your chance to win airline tickets. Tune in Monday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. during Love in the Morning. Wednesday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. during Morning Express. Thursday and Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. during Alive. Call us and give us the access phrase, home is where the heart is. Welcome home with Caribbean Airlines, and give us your best version of the Caribbean Airlines new jingle, Home is where the heart is, and you can win a flight from Caribbean Airlines. Visit Caribbean Airlines YouTube channel to listen and learn the jingle. Welcome home.
Tell them home is where the heart is.
Yes, welcome back, listeners. You're tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. Family Life Ministries provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Our show this evening is about financial planning as a couple, and our guest is Cassia Grant Clark. She's the founder and CEO of Money Smart Consultants with 20 years of experience in the local financial sector. In general communication, even in the age of multiple ways to communicate, it isn't one of the things we do best. Even as couples or a family, and talking about money can be one of the hardest things we could ever do. It's a sensitive subject, but it can be done with positive outcomes. So we continue our discussion, Casey, and we want to underscore the importance of encouraging communication.
Mhm.
I recall just before we went to the break there, or even as we discussed
Mhm.
combining debts and managing that, the importance of being transparent and being
Right.
vulnerable, right? How do you navigate, communicating clearly, and so there is no misunderstanding. Me understand what you mean. A $10 we have, or we can't make it till X time. How do we what kind of encouragement do we give to couples to ensure that the communication is on par?
So it's good that we're touching on communication as well, Crystal, because right up there with the stressors is communication. So we spoke about financials. So communication is right up there in terms of the things that cause couples to be stressed. So
Yes.
as we talk about financial matters and communication, it is crucial for us to start out first and foremost to understand that whatever we're discussing, creating the budget, whatever else, it's not that we're fighting each other. We're,
Yes.
we're doing this for the betterment of our relationship and for our family, even if they're not here as yet, the family to come.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off on the same footing, understanding why we're doing what we're doing and the importance of it in terms of the benefits that our marriage will have from us communicating and talking about the finances. So it's important to understand that yes, money is very emotional because when we talk about our backgrounds, for example, we realize that we're all from different households where we
Yes.
value different things. So as Dr. Myron Golden, he puts it best when he says that past perceived voids create present perceived value. And what that means is that for one party to the relationship may be from a household where there was limited resources growing up. So, now in adulthood, that person wants to spend a lot because they're not used to having things. So that person now gets genuine joy from spending. Whilst the other
Mm-hmm.
party may be a saver. The
Yes.
reverse may have been true for the other person in the relationship. So it's important to have this discussion, fleshing out. Okay, so our backgrounds are different, but we are here as a couple and we want to achieve the same thing. So it's important to put that on the table, to say, okay, so it's one way versus the other, but we have to now come to some kind of compromise for the betterment of the relationship.
You're right, right, right.
So
Compromise. Pretty
compromise,
good.
vital.
And yes, and I want to talk about creating a safe space for discussion. I just want to drop this in where I
Mhm,
recall speaking to someone in their, I would say, middle age thereabout,
mhm,
who has gone through a divorce.
mhm,
And this gentleman said to me, I was very arrogant when it came
mhm,
on to money. And when things were going bad, I did not tell my wife when things were going bad, because sometimes males may want to be seen as always being able to provide, and they
mhm,
don't want to seem weak when they're unable to do so. And so he said he did not tell his wife
mhm,
um, that things are bad, and for them to go back to the drawing board together, because he was so embarrassed, and that
mhm,
cost him his marriage, because that started with one thing and another thing, the poor communication and the ripple
mhm.
effect of all of that, or should I say
Right.
domino effect, right?
Mhm.
And we want to talk about creating that safe space. What does creating safe space look like, and what is safe space?
Right. So
Love
that's a
in
good
this regard.
question. And I'll answer it this way, Crystal, because in my coaching sessions, one of the first things I begin with is that whatever we discuss is confidential, and that's a
Yes,
given, right?
yes.
And the next thing is that this is a safe space. So it means we're not going to fight each other. We're not going to. I mean, we can respectfully disagree with each other, but we're going to
Yes.
find out. We're going to try to understand where the other person is coming from, because sometimes what you find is that a disagreement may come as a result of one person not understanding that the other person is really saying what they're saying, but in a different
Mhm.
way.
Right.
So it's understanding that we are, again, we're a team, and this is a necessary part to get us to where we want to go. Because the beginning may seem a bit rocky when you start the conversation, but as you understand and trust your partner for wanting the best and the betterment for the relationship, you realize that yes, we may begin here, but we have a common goal to get to the other side, to get to a better place. And I can say to you, when couples start seeing their dreams, their goals being realized, it brings them so much joy.
Yes.
I've had clients who started out initially a little bit doubtful, but as the sessions progress, they'll say to me, Casey, wow, You know, this is amazing. I feel relaxed. And for me, it's such a joy because I really become passionate about serving my clients and seeing them succeed. I say to them all the time, when you succeed, I also succeed. And that is my mission. That is my focus, to help you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve and to take you to financial freedom. So, it's important to pass the discomfortable or the uncomfortable places to get to the goal that you want
Yes.
to achieve.
But can I ask you, if someone is unable to come to counseling, how can they condition themselves to create a safe space at home,
At
um,
home.
with each other to
Well,
talk about this uncomfortable topic?
okay, so one thing I'd say, Crystal, on that is to, rather than blaming the other person, because quite often it comes across as a blame game. You don't
Yeah.
want to go get the help you need. Rather than doing that, start with yourself. Start by looking at I statements. So it makes me uncomfortable. I am uncomfortable with this. Take
Yes.
your partner out of it. Don't blame your partner, but start by taking accountability for yourself in the relationship. Because what you find quite often when that happens, the other party will tend to follow suit when they realize, oh, okay, so it's not about blaming me. It's not about saying I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, but
Yes.
this person is taking, or my wife or my husband is taking responsibility as well. So
Yeah.
okay, so maybe I can go along, or go and get the financial check that I need to get. So I find that helps a lot
Awesome.
in it has helped in my marriage,
Yes.
and I've seen other person's benefits.
I statements indeed, and that very important element of humility on both sides is very
Hmm.
critical. I can speak to that
Absolutely.
myself. So, listeners, we're heading into our final break. This is Family Time live on Love 101 FM. And of course, we are live also on Love 101 YouTube and Facebook. It's produced by Family Life Ministries. For our feedback question, please answer this. As a couple or a family, what's your biggest financial challenge? Come on, my people. We know that you have things to share, right? Send your answers via WhatsApp text and WhatsApp voice notes to 876-997-3125. Try to keep those voice notes no longer than 30 seconds. And you can also call our studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8. Watch us and comment live on Love 101 FM, Facebook, and YouTube. We want to hear from you. Also, did you know there are two books from FLM you'll want on your shelves today? Now, these two books, the first one is Answers to Questions Parents Ask, and the second is Questions on Love, Sex, and Marriage. Purchase any of these two valuable reads from Brian's bookstore, the Jamaica Baptist Union bookstore, and Source of Light bookstore. And then there is a third book, Before They Say I Do. That's the topic, the questionnaire and manual, specifically for counselors, psychologists, pastors, marriage officers. All three books, including this third version of Before They Say I Do, are available through Family Life Ministries. Call them at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. This is Family Time. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Jamaica and its workforce are advancing quickly. Life changing opportunities are arising. You need training and support. We are the Renewed Heart NSTA Trust, committed to providing new and emerging skills training and opportunities. Come to Heart. We'll help you claim your place in the workforce of the future.
Yay! Wagwan Jamaica. Hello world. I am Trisal Dyer. Wake up early. Have your cup of coffee ready as we start the day right Monday to Friday from 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. in Love in the Morning. Love in the Morning with me, Jokal Dyer, on the family station, Love 101.
Love in the morning. Sometimes all we need is a listening ear. The listening ear, the counseling, the logical reasoning, and spiritual guidance are what appeal to us. That's why I'm here. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, the counselor, your counselor on Love 101 FM, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. You know you can call on me. I will listen and more. So let's talk about what's bothering you. Anything. Tune in, listen, call in, text or voice message. I'm Dr. Joan Pinkney, counseling psychologist, ready with a listening ear. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 10 to 11 p.m. Right here on the family station, Love 101 FM.
Welcome back to our listeners. The time is now 6:15 p.m. You are tuned to Love 101. This is Family Time, brought to you by Family Life Ministries. We thank you so very much for tuning in. FLM provides counseling for people with all kinds of challenges from all walks of life. Remember, you can tune in to the program via Love 101 Facebook. That's the page, and via our YouTube channel. That's the Love 101 YouTube channel. The topic today: financial planning as a couple, or special guest, Cassia Grant Clark. Over 20 years experience counseling persons on how to effectively and responsibly manage their money. So, Cassia, we're still unpacking this because we know that these are critical tools to enable persons to achieve their goals and, of course, to preserve their relationships and their
Mhm.
families. Now, we want to look closely at financial legacy and generational wealth. We've been hearing a lot about generational wealth and how we need to change our approach and our understanding of money. Now, how do we build generational wealth? Uh, how do we get there? What kind of information do we need to arm ourselves? Kind of what kind of financial literacy is required to enable us to get there?
Thank you for that, Crystal.
Sure.
So I'll begin with the scripture that speaks to a wise man building or leaving an inheritance for his children and his children's children. And that says to me it's crucial for us to aim at building uh, generational legacy. Now, one of the crucial things in building any kind of wealth is financial literacy. And the reason for that, you could be earning good good money, but because you don't know how money works, you don't know what to do, how to invest, you find that you are not operating at your best financially because you don't know how to manage your money. So it's crucial to have the knowledge through financial literacy, financial education. So we also say in terms of building a legacy, teach your children from early how to manage money. And
Mm,
it doesn't have to be very technical in the sense that you can have them tuning into different podcasts or online books from early to help them, because we realize that in Jamaica, financial literacy is not yet taught in schools. And it's a big thing because I just want to put this in to say, really, based on a research that was done by Standard and Poor's, only about 33% of Jamaicans have the basic knowledge as to how to manage their money. So there's lots of work to do in terms of financial literacy in our country. And I think that's why building a legacy is not such a big deal for us as yet. So we have to start now. Couples have to start to put in place the necessary tools, get the help that they need to
yes.
ensure that they are not just living for here and now, but building a legacy. When you think about getting to retirement, for example, you
Yes.
can live without money when you're young, but as you get older, it's important to have money to take care of your different, whether it's health challenges, health needs, etc., and to ensure that your children are better off than they probably are now. So it's important to have that mindset from the onset. Couples need to look at how they can make their family line better off than possibly they were when they started.
Okay, so how about modeling good financial habits to children? Because we talk about, how do we help children, teaching children from an earlier age how to treat with money. I recall when I was much younger, you have some building societies and so on would come into the schools, and even some credit unions would come into the schools, and you would have like a junior savers account and different things like that. um
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not sure if those things are still happening, you know uh
Yes.
even too, I'm thinking about how parents can teach uh, their children how to
Mm-hmm.
save even $5 out of $15 that they get, or $20 that they get,
Mm-hmm.
to help them
Right.
to develop those habits. But what about the parent who feels like, Chuck, if John broke and poor, I mean, I have no money. What can I teach me to teach my child? How can you encourage such a person who is listening right now to say, "What are you gonna teach me, Pitney? I make we can hardly make two pennies meet." What kind of encouragement would you give to such a person to model to their child so that they don't continue in the cycle?
Mhm. Well, the first thing I say to that person, Crystal, is that mindset is important
Yeah.
because what we hold as our belief system, it either makes us or it breaks us. Right?
Yes.
As Henry Ford once said, believe that you can and you will. Believe that you can't, and you are right. Right? So that individual who is listening, I'd say to you that it's important to look at ways now. In fact, you're listening to a program as this, and we're talking about financial freedom and building a legacy. I want you to know that it is possible to change your financial situation. You know,
Yes.
wherever you are, whatever you have, your situation can change with help. If you can't do it on your own, you may not have the knowledge, the tools, uh, at your disposal, but reach out for help. Don't continue to struggle alone, because there is help, and you'd be amazed as to the difference that you can make in your life and in your children's life with with help. So a program such as this, Crystal, is
Yes.
vital, because I've heard many persons say, boy, I can't do it. In fact, for me, that's a taboo word. I can't is
Yes.
a taboo word, because you can do just about anything you set your mind to.
Yes.
If you
I
can't
yes.
currently, find persons who can help you to make that difference. It is
Yes.
possible. And to answer your question earlier, there's still saving still institutions that go into schools to open savings accounts, etc. The thing about that, though, sometimes after the accounts are opened, that's where they remain. So we need the programs now to go beyond the savings, to look at how to invest.
Awesome. Awesome. I want to share something that I saw on social media recently, where a father was so proud of his 18-year-old son, who he made open up this container that he was saving like $5 coins, quarters. This is an American quarters
Mhm,
and all of that. And he told him from he was 5 years old that he will not open it until he was 18. And
mhm,
the son was there taking out the money, and it was just a lot of coins and a lot of bills and so on that added up to a significant sum. So
mhm,
I just would want to share that as well too, that every in the Jamaican parlance they will say
mhm.
every mickle make a muckle. you
Yep,
know
absolutely.
every dollar on the ground adds up to what can add up
Mhm,
to $1 million. So
mhm.
those little habits where we respect money,
Right,
so not to love it as the scripture says, but
mhm.
respect it for what it is, which is a
Right.
tool. We will treat with it appropriately. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
we've looked at so many things. I just don't know. Probably this can be a part two where we have to unpack and go deeper, because I want to come back to the couples too, because like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you tell a couple to, or to does a couple celebrate their milestones, how do they recognize and celebrate their financial milestones without, you know crossing boundaries or
Mm-hmm.
overdoing things, how do you temper the excitement of,
Yes.
making more money now, I have X
Mm-hmm.
amount in the bank, I've
Mm-hmm.
done this, I've done that. What
Right.
kind of reminder and caution would you give to a couple while they are to
Yes.
acknowledge their milestones?
So that's a good one because I really encourage celebration. No matter how small, progress is progress. But I'd
Yes.
say the caution I'd give at this point is don't go overboard. So there are things that you can do that will
Yeah.
not break the bank. You can do like a movie night together at
Mhm.
home. You cook your meal. You can go on hikes if that's your thing. Uh, there are many different things that you can do as a couple that will not. As I said before, break the bank, will not cause you to overspend, but it's important to celebrate one success after the other because that encourages you and it builds momentum. You want to achieve more, and it puts fun into it. It's more like a
Yes.
game than something that causes you to frown or to be upset. It puts joy into the process. So
Yes.
definitely celebrate those milestones.
Yes. I tell you, we really hope that our listeners, we didn't hear from you listeners. We were hoping that you would be sharing some of your voice notes and your WhatsApp questions, or even some experiences that you've had. We were hoping that you would be sharing that, but you see, Casey, you see, persons are afraid to talk about money.
Yes,
Boy, money has
yes,
a chokehold on us,
yes.
especially in this kind of economy.
Mhm,
It somewhat,
mhm.
rocks our confidence, and how much we think we can discuss and talk about it. But
Right.
we wanna thank our listeners for being here with us. If you have any questions of a personal nature, or are concerned about a friend or family member, call us for more information on our services, or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island. Contact our head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Note that for appointments and information on costs, you must call the offices. Otherwise, to keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our programs, check us out on our new Facebook page at FLM-Family Life Ministries. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA, and on Instagram at simply FLMJA. Before we leave you today, here is our verse for this evening, and it's taken from Romans 15, verse 13. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks again to our special guest, Cassia Grant Clark, with her over 20 years' experience unpacking how we treat with money as a couple to maintain our relationships and our families. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale. Big up yourself. Thanks to Derval Graham for piloting us through this hour. And of course, you, our listeners, always tuning in on a Monday at 5:30 just to hear us talk about the important things that matter to your community and your family. Have a great week. I'm Crystal. I hope to see you soon. This is
Hi,
Dr.
Crystal. I have a quick sweetener for your listeners.
Awesome.
Persons who who reach out to me at Money Smart JA on Instagram
Yes.
or Casey Clark on Instagram will get a free budget. Remember, you asked about the app? They're going to
Yes.
get a free a 1 year budget. Anyone who sends me a DM on Instagram, that's Money Smart JA or Casey or Clark.
Excellent. What a great way to end the show, Casey. Thank you so very much for that. Listeners, I hope you were making note to go ahead to get your free budget. That's your free budget template. This is family time right here on Love 101. See you next time.